Good morning. Okay, I narrowed it down, so I'm going to pick an anointing oil. I think today, Moonlight Butterfly.
Please.
Oh, this smells so good. All right, we have some Earl Grey tea this morning, or actually this afternoon. And I am going to pour me a cup, and we are going to chat a little bit. Oh, it smells so nice. All right, so we have some lemon cake to snack on, and we have a cookie and some Earl Grey tea with a tad bit too much cream. It was an accident, but it's going to be just as delicious. And I figured we could rearrange my bedroom altar while we talk about those fairy experiences. Okay guys, so there was a lot of interruption. So I figured I will probably head to the woods and share a couple of those experiences with you. This is how the altar looks now. I decided to work with the elements of water and water spirits for this Cancer season. So I have some driftwood here, some ocean water and shells. And I have this crystal bowl for some of my water rituals that I will be doing. And I may even share one of these in a video very soon. What do you think? As a child, I recall sleepwalking quite often. There was countless times I was awoken in the forest, shocked at how I got there, looking around in the dark, deep woods. What does this have to do with the Fae or fairies, you ask? You're about to find out. My relationship with the Fae started when I was very young, before I even knew who they were or what they were. I had many dreams leading up to my 13th birthday, from spring until July 7th. In my dreams, I saw tiny floating will-o-wisp in the forest. The sound of a waterfall roaring in the distance. It was an odd dream because I could hear birdsong, but the sky was pitch as black, the stars were shining. Always I heard a voice, like a faint call in a language I couldn't understand. It was almost like musical notes. Animals were around me. There were butterflies, dragonflies, doe and fawn, owls calling in the background. It was as if the forest was alive and making its own sounds of music, an orchestra of life surrounding me. Many times I woke in the forest, barefoot in my pajamas, with no clue as as to how I arrived. Most of the time that I sleptwalk, it was as if I was trying to get to the woods. As if I was following a call that only I could hear. I lived with my grandparents for a very short while. One morning, after living with my grandparents for a short while, my grandfather questioned us as to who had went outside that night. There was dirt all about the floor, as if somebody had some dirty footprints. The dog never barked, and Tippy barked at everything. Whoever went out the door had unlocked the deadbolt and the lock on the door. It was then that my grandfather decided to add a few more locks to the door as to bar it down to keep us from going out in the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure he knew then that one of us had managed to sleepwalk, which it was a dangerous area because this place was really rocky and known for cliffs. So it's amazing how I survived sleepwalking as often as I did in this area. Eventually the dreams stopped, and my 13th birthday rolled around, and I no longer had those dreams. But I've always felt a strange pull to nature ever since. A calling that no longer needs to be heard but felt. To acknowledge, to serve, to coexist. Another experience I'm going to share is a not so pleasant experience. It's a little different as I was older, and this took place in the year 2015. I was an adult at this time. I had arrived home after working late. We had invited some friends over for some much needed adult time. I pulled my car into my driveway, actually a little off of my driveway, more in the grass I would say, because all of my driveway, the gravel part anyways, was already overtaken by cars. So I had parked my car, got out, I went inside, I put my things away and spent some much needed time with my friends. I had this weird feeling in my gut about my car. It's kind of really unexplainable. I just kind of pushed my intuition off as just being a little silly. So we had fun, we had a few drinks, a few laughs. We were hanging out around the fire, letting loose a little, admiring the stars and talking about the latest work gossip and playing some cards and some other games. As it got later and everyone went home, I still had this really nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. Just pushing it off, brushing my teeth, and getting into my pajamas, I went to bed. The next morning, I got up and I went to put my necklace on, or wore at the time, all the time. You would not catch me without this necklace. It was a very important pinnacle of mine that I wore, a very protective one that I anointed. So I grabbed my necklace, my eyes barely open. I was going to take it into the bathroom and put it on after I got dressed. I noticed that the pinnacle was missing. completely. But the necklace that I had, it was a necklace that was all knotted up and tied really tight. I pretty much double knotted it, and it had not been messed with. It was exactly the same. So it was pretty wild to see that my charm was gone. And then I happened to look down, and I noticed that it was sitting right beside of where my necklace was. There's no way that this particular charm could have separated from this necklace, because this particular charm did not have a little tiny ring that you would use to put on a necklace or a bracelet. You had to actually take the necklace and unknot it and slip the charm on, because it was pretty much sealed all the way around. So that just caught me off guard to the point where I woke my husband up, and I was like, look at this. Did you do this? Did you play a prank on me? And he was just as clueless as I was. So we both just chalked it up as to just weird things going on. You know, I kind of knew. I knew it had to be some kind of trickster messing around. So I just left it where it was. Just brushed it off. Just like that feeling I had that night. Well, I got ready for work, and then I put my shoes on and I went outside. I went to put my bag in the car and get inside of it, and then I noticed that I had parked directly in a fairy ring. I had smashed some of the mushrooms. If you guys do not know what a fairy ring is, it's a circle of mushrooms that is very sacred to the Fae. It has been known to be a portal to the fairy dimension, and is used in sacred circles. So it is very, very, very bad to mess with a fairy ring. I just so happened to not only mess with one, but I smashed the border and parked my car in it. So at that point I knew exactly what I had done. So to make amends, I decided to, that night when I got home from work, I would set out a saucer of some baked goods, and then I would offer some milk and honey and some lavender. Obviously not right in the circle, but pretty close by, as an offering of peace. I decided to think a little on it on my drive to work. So I got inside of my car and I shut the door, and I went to start my car, which was fairly a pretty new car. It was in really good shape. I had not had it long at all. I went to start this car and it would not start at all. And that's when I knew, yes, you messed up pretty big, girl. That day I decided to just call into work, because I had a weird feeling that the day would just progressively get worse. I did not want to find out how worse it could get, especially if I were at work or out in town. So I called in, and I was known for never calling in, so I'm pretty sure it struck my employers as odd. Feeling as though that the food and drink offering would not be enough, I decided to take some of my own personal belongings, some of my favorite stones and crystals, basically as an apology, buried them into the woods. I felt a strong calling to do this. It wasn't until buried some personal items around the area where I left the food and a drink, that everything just kind of simmered down. Just to let you know, the day did progressively get worse before I made my amends. I burnt dinner, I remember that. My bath water was cold. The hot water heater was fine at this point in time, and nobody had used it. So yeah, there were several things that went wrong that normally wouldn't have. I'm a pretty decent cook. I do not want to brag too much on that, but I never burn anything. Like I said, our water heater was working perfectly fine and did afterwards. So a lot of these things just could not be explained. I knew it was the fairies. I had offended them, and I had done something pretty terrible to a very sacred space. Among the crystals and the couple of stones that I dearly loved, I also buried a very important piece of jewelry. I guess with it being so personal, as an offering, my apology was accepted, because after that I did not have issues with the fairies, but I totally did learn my lesson. Thank you guys for sitting with me and listening. I hope you enjoyed these fairy encounters that I have had. These are just a couple of mini stories. I cannot wait to post the next video. Thank you guys, and thank you for subscribing.